everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our Academic Insider webinar with the feature of the College of Arts and Sciences today. We will be covering several topic areas, including the academic experience for the student, what it's like to be in our degree programs, the application of this education in the workforce, and we're going to talk about student organizations that you can become involved in. You, throughout the webinar, can ask questions to us. There's a comment box there. We will be monitoring that, and we'll have a question and answer session at the end of the webinar to address all of those issues. We'll start out by introducing myself. My name is Raylene Jones. I'm a Career Services Coordinator with Grantham, and I'll be moderating this webinar. We also have Doug Dimler with us today. He's a Career Services Coordinator and will also be moderating.
Hello, everyone. I'm co-advisor of the GU Sherman Student Organization Chapter. I work with students in the College of Engineering, Computer Science, College of Nursing, and Allied Health.
Thank you, Doug. We also have Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, Lisa Blair.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today.
We have faculty member and ACJA sponsor, Susie Towsey.
Hi, everyone.
We have faculty member and political science common sponsors, Mark Olson.
Hey everyone, this is Mark. I teach political science at Grantham. Everybody take American government. It's a great class. Good plug.
So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. I believe Doug has the first question for Lisa.
I do, thanks. Lisa, what are the main industry areas covered in your program?
Well, most people are going to think of our criminal justice program, and so that's the predominant program that we have. But what's kind of hidden is the fact that we offer the general education program. And the gen ed courses are the foundation for what employers are looking for when they're looking to hire people. So you can kind of think of the criminal justice as a specialization. The general education is what all students need to take, and it's what employers are looking for in terms of your communication skills, your critical thinking skills, yes, even your math skills. You are going to need to use quantitative reasoning out there in the real world. So we like to think that we've got it going on. We cover pretty much everything.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. That sort of goes into this next question that I had for you. What concentrations are specifically available? How flexible is the College of Arts and Sciences when you're wanting to add minors or emphasis onto your degree?
Right. We have 3 concentrations currently. One officially is called Homeland Security, and this has become very popular, given our post 9/11 world. Another is called Computer Forensic Investigation, which is going to be focusing on how to investigate cybercrime. We have one that I'm just calling Administration of Justice. It's not the official name, but it's further specialization in criminal justice. So if you are choosing to pursue your Bachelor of Arts in Criminal Justice, you might add on these concentrations. If you're choosing to pursue a bachelor's degree in multidisciplinary studies, you could also take one of these concentrations. Now, coming up, I do want to put a plug in for a new master's degree program in leadership. And in the future, we're going to be offering courses at the undergraduate level in leadership as well. So this is a time of growth for the College of Arts and Sciences, and you're going to see that we're going to be introducing a lot of new courses, a lot of new concentrations, and hopefully some new degree programs for students.
Thanks. I think there are a lot of questions about emphasis and minors when it comes to degree programs, so thanks for answering that. That's great. My question is, as far as students, how will this program or major be right for them?
Well, it's very personalized, obviously. The one thing I do want to put a plug in for Career Services, if you really need to sit down and talk with someone about, what are my background attributes, what have I enjoyed doing in the past, what would I like to do in the future, how much money could I anticipate earning in this career field in the future, definitely talk with Career Services. You can have these conversations with your faculty members as well. The 2 faculty members that we have representing the College of Arts and Sciences today, Susie has been in the field. How long have you been practicing?
28 years.
28 years in law enforcement. And Mark has been 10 years in politics. So anytime that you're enrolled in a course, definitely reach out to your instructors and ask them, tell me about your working experience and what can I expect, what are the opportunities, what are the highlights, and what are some things that I might need to watch out for.
I think a lot of students are afraid to ask those questions, and it's a great question to ask your instructor.
And you guys love it when students ask those questions, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Learn from us. I think, at least for myself, I've made plenty of mistakes in my career path and adventure, and so I would love it for students to learn from the mistakes I made and not repeat those.
Well, yeah, and we talk about this in, very frequently in the Career Services Department that a degree is a long-term commitment. So you want to make sure when you're coming out of this program, it's actually the industry and the career field that you want to work in. And we don't always see that. People get degrees that, they get a professional career with a degree that's not necessarily related, but you will be ahead of the game if you choose a degree program that is aligned with your ideal career. Awesome, good conversation. So this next question I have for Lisa is, what is the typical class size and instructor-to-student ratio in the courses?
Good question. And you are going to have a variety based on the level of your course. So at the introductory level, when you're taking 1 and 200 level courses, those courses are going to be a little bit larger. Again, if they're in the general education, and students across the university need to take our, composition courses, our humanities and communication courses, we cap those course sizes at 40. So you're never going to have more than 40 students in your classes. Now, as you get into your specialization, whether you're a criminal justice major or, even at the other colleges you're going to find with their degree programs, you have smaller course sizes because there's not as many students in criminal justice. So, Susie, what do you think a typical class size is for criminal justice?
Probably right around 20.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Good for learning.
And it's actually a good size for having the weekly discussion forum where, since every course is online, you need to have that discussion forum to have that give and take. And so 20 is a really good size. It allows you to kind of follow a lot of threads and not feel overwhelmed.
And that sort of brings me to a follow-up question. We've recently moved to monthly starts, and that sort of helps with the student-to-teacher ratio, making sure that, people are staying together with their course mates.
Well, and that's a really good point. I think that's one of the things that our students are going to get acclimated to. It might take a little period of adjustment. We used to have weekly starts, so if you have to wait a couple of weeks for a course to start, since we only have, 12 opportunities for the 12 months out of the year, that might be one thing that students are finding. But what I hope the upside of that is, rather than being in a class alone with the instructor and you have to carry the entire discussion forum all by yourself, now with having our monthly starts, our goal is to have larger student enrollment so that you've got other students that you're learning from. I really think that peer-to-peer learning is just as important as the instructor-student learning dynamic.
Yeah, altogether a better student experience.
Definitely.
So it goes along with my question, with our monthly starts and more people or more students in the classroom, how long does it take to complete a degree program?
Yeah, I wish there was one answer. Again, this is going to vary for each student. Your adult learners, you have a lot going on. And so it might be that you buckle down, you take 2 courses per term, and you can crank it out in 3.5 years. It might be that we have quite a few military students, and maybe you're out in the field, maybe you've got training, and so you're not able to take courses every term, and so it might take longer. I've seen some students that have been here for 10 years working on their degree, and we've had other students that just roll through pretty quickly. The nice thing is we do have that flexibility. So if you are finding that you've got personal issues that are preventing you from enrolling in courses, a lot of times the limiting factor is going to be the type of financial aid that you are using. So, in terms of enrolling in courses, it's a very individual process.
And I just want to, piggyback off of that because we see a lot of students that they come in for their associate's degree and then they realize, I'm not done, I want to go farther, and then they go into their bachelor's degree program. And then even from there, they go into a master's. So that educational process can really be a length of time for each individual.
And we used to have a learning outcome called lifelong learning, and this is what we really are all about. And in our society today, in the information age, you never stop learning. And so, we're hoping to grow master's degree programs to allow students to pursue very specific programs of study. But I'm a true academic. I think you should take any class, anytime, anywhere. The more that you can learn, the better you are equipped to deal with what life is going to throw at you. Of course.
So we talked a little bit earlier about our student being the adult learner. And, that means that we have students in our programs that have a good deal of life experience. So this next question, Lisa, is really about how Grantham handles life experience, previous education, and what that means for our students.
Exactly. So to get credit, college credit for your previous experience, we have a program called Prior Learning Assessment. We call that PLA. There's an actual process that you will need to go through. And so when you're working with your admissions rep or your student advisor, they can help you guide you to the correct paperwork. In essence, you're going to fill out a form that says, okay, in my experience, as I'm going to use something that I've seen recently. Don't remember the student's name, which is good because I don't need to give you the student's name. But this individual was lifetime career as a firefighter and wanted to PLA out of our public speaking course, which I don't understand why. Everyone loves public speaking, right? So, but his paperwork, he was able to convince me that, yes, as a firefighter, twice a year, you know how they encourage you to change your smoke alarm batteries every time your clock moves forward or moves back with the time change. So he would make public speeches because he would go to community organizations and give that little spiel about changing your batteries. So not only did he convince me that, yes, that is what he did for his job, but he actually also went through the course requirements, and he was able to tell me, in this course, you learn about audience analysis, and this is how I did the audience analysis when I would go out and do my publication or my speaking, my presentations. And so he was able to take all those course outcomes that you would learn in that course and convince me that, yes, he had mastered those outcomes through his real-life experience. And that's the key to getting PLA credit. And I'm telling you this because I've also seen people say, oh, you should just give me the credit because I've done this. You need to be able to have a compelling case. So I'm telling you, look at those course outcomes and address those course outcomes. That's what we base all of our academic decisions on. Now, our military students have a JST, Joint Services Transcript. They have a lot of real-life work experience that is evaluated by the ACE, American Council on Education, and so we do accept a lot of military credit. And then you also can attend other schools. And in fact, we find a lot of our adult learners are attending multiple institutions. You might have gone to a brick-and-mortar institution. You might have gone to a local community college. You might have taken other online courses with other universities. Every time you do that, you need to request your transcripts. Make sure that you have the transcript sent here to our registrar's office, and we have a team of evaluators. So we're going to take a look and see if you've taken a public speaking course. Yes, that's going to count for our public speaking course. So you just need to make sure to request those transcripts early on in your academic process here at Grantham so that you're not, duplicating courses for no reason. So as soon as you get admitted and you start talking with your admissions rep, request all those transcripts and have an evaluation done.
Good to know.
I have a follow-up question there, and this might be putting you on the spot. What is the percentage that you can transfer in for a degree program? Because I know you have to do, there has to be so much that you have to take with us. Exactly.
And so we are accredited. We have a couple of levels of accreditation. DEAC is our national accreditor, and then we also have approval by the Kansas Board of Regents to operate. We're based here in the state of Kansas, even though obviously our students are all over the world. According to our K-Board regulations and according to DEAC, we need to make sure that you transfer in no more than 75%. So yes, I said 75%, 3/4 of your credit for a bachelor's level degree. So that means a bachelor's degree is 120 hours at a minimum. So you can transfer in 90 credits from another institution or get PLA credits.
As long as they fulfill the degree program requirements.
Right. Now, I will tell you that not all of your transfer credits, you know, it might be that if you've taken 5 history courses, we don't have enough slots and we don't have a history major here, so you might not get all of your transfer credits applied here. So that is the one thing I would caution you. You need to be a little bit strategic when you're taking courses so that you're not just loading up on one thing and then you have no place to transfer them to.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We always talk about in career services, real-world application.
Definitely.
How a degree is going to apply to that. So my question is, how does our academic education translate to real-world experience?
That's one of the fundamental things when we develop our courses. That's one of the things that we are looking at. In fact, we've recently incorporated what we're calling CPCs, and that stands for Core Professional Competencies. We developed these CPCs by actually looking at employers who hire college graduates, and every year they do a survey of these are the things we're looking for. When we make new hires, we need people who have critical thinking skills, who have leadership skills, who have communication skills, know how to deal with numbers, know how to do problem solving, especially when they have an ill-defined, problem. There's not going to be a situation in the work world where you have that storybook algebra problem. It's going to be, oh my gosh, I don't know what my variables are. I don't know what I'm trying to find out, but I've got to solve this problem for my boss. Yeah. And so that's the kind of stuff that we're trying to incorporate into our courses because you need those skills. So that's what the Gen Ed can offer. There's also another important CPC called distributed collaboration, and that's the teamwork. And what I know from working with students is everyone hates the team project, right? And you guys have taught courses and you've probably had team projects, and it's never fair because it's like one student does all the work, and how do you get everyone else to participate? So through our new attention to these core professional competencies, and even what we're doing here today, this webinar is distributed collaboration. How do you engage in teamwork across time, across distance? How do you use technology to enable people to communicate with one another? Use Dropbox, use Google Drive, use Skype, use GoToMeeting, whatever your platform is. Those are some of the skills you're going to be learning. Now, I am going to put Susie on the spot now because talking about how you apply your coursework in the real world, I'm going to have Susie talk about this.
Well, the coursework that we have, obviously it's easier in criminal justice because you can associate like current events that are going on, and so if I can talk about things that I do in police work. So if they have a question about, hey, Fourth Amendment rights, or my friend got stopped, what was the reasoning behind this, and it really helps, I think, bring that real world into their coursework and give that relationship, like why is this important and why should you know this, and why police do the things that they do and why the courts are set up the way they are, and things like that. So I think it does, criminal justice makes it easy because it's an interesting topic, and with all the shows we have on TV. So
yeah. And Mark doesn't teach math, but I know our math, when you have to take a math class, you're like, when am I ever going to use math in the real world? And so we do have an answer for that. But I think in political science, in the GP210 course, and all of our government courses, you probably get the same question.
We get that same question a lot. I tell students a lot that the class isn't so much about memorizing trivia facts as much as it's learning argument skills, written communication skills, research skills, a lot of these skills that are captured in our core professional competencies that employers are looking for. I also think that what I do especially is important and relevant in this day and age because the health of our society is dependent on having informed citizens. One of the things that I see a lot in discussions in our class is students say, hey, the biggest problem with our society is we don't have informed citizens engaging in our politics in our society. And I say, well, that's the point of the class. That's what I'm doing. That's what you're here to get.
Pay attention.
I hear a lot from. I think that's especially when we consider the whole hullabaloo over fake news and the impact. We're at a crisis right now in our nation in terms of a lack of informed citizens. And higher ed is where we're supposed to step up and empower you, the student, to have those tools to advocate for those things that you believe in, engage in our society, and together, even from a diversity of values, beliefs, and opinions, contribute and make us all a better society by being that engaged and informed citizen.
Mm-hmm. Now, I am going to put in a little plug. Mark shared with me just this week a quick little video that he made that addresses that question, when am I ever going to use this course in the real world? And so he had it, you know, specifically for, we have students in the Medical Coding and Billing Associate's Degree Program. And he said, okay, you need to know about government and politics.
Right. You need to know, I mean, what our medical billing and coding students are doing is a direct result of the Affordable Care Act. And it's a direct result of Medicare and Medicaid policy and the really bizarre interaction between those two baskets of policy. And so, you know, medical billing and coding, it's all government. If you're in business, I'm a small business owner. I have to navigate every month a myriad of regulations and tax codes at the local, state, federal level. If I don't have an understanding of federalism, I'm going to get audited. I'm going to forget something, but my government background empowers me to go run my own business and fulfill my obligations. Criminal justice, Susie said it, you have to know civil rights. You need to know the Bill of Rights. I mean, that's obviously another huge discussion we're having as a nation right now. And then engineering, I think engineering and computer science is kind of the one that I get a lot of pushback from, like, I have no idea. But if you're an engineer, your projects have to go through government regulations, and most of the projects you're working on are getting government money at some point. Yeah. You know, computer science, so many issues we're dealing with right now as a nation, from control of the internet, net neutrality, foreign nations hacking our election systems. That's all computer science. So it really is a government politics. You need to know that information to thrive and be a problem solver in your respective industries.
And also with the Privacy Act, which goes along with knowing the laws and to help with math skills. Like a lot of people say, what do I need math skills in criminal justice? Well, just think of forensic science and ballistic testing and the trajectory, and how about just a simple accident scene that a patrol officer would work on. You have to know the angles and the measurements, and you have to draw out the accident scene for insurance companies. And a lot of that is related to the fault of whoever did it. And so in a lot of times in fatality accidents, the officer will have to appear in court in a civil case that relates to it could be a lot of money potentially for the victim's family, and you have to know what you're talking about. And so you have to know those math, algebra skills.
I think that we in higher ed, and this is not Grantham, this is beyond Grantham, we haven't done a good job of explaining the purpose of higher ed. I think we've gotten caught into a trap of, like, it's just a trivia contest. You learn a bunch of trivia in K through 12, and then you go to college and learn some more trivia to get a degree. But I know that what we are doing here at Grantham is radically different, especially in our gen eds, because it is all about how these skills apply to the real world. I know when I wrote the GP210 class, all the assignments, they're not trivia hunts. It's not about memorizing dates and names. It's about how you can apply these skills to your career. I know one of the things we talk about in andragogy for adult learners is letting students create their own educational experience, to take the material and apply it to your goals. And that's something that we are really on the forefront of at Grantham.
Well, and I want to sort of piggyback off of that. We talked about our CPCs, but really that information is led by an advisory board. And I'd like Lisa to speak a little bit more about our advisory board, what they do and how we use them, and that is why our courses are so related to what you need to know in your career.
Exactly. So we have an advisory board of 11 members in the community who represent criminal justice, because that's one of our biggest programs, but they also represent a variety of employers and industries that they're speaking to our general education programs. So these are individuals who are either supervising or hiring managers, or they have years of work experience. Yeah. And so what we specifically asked them to do is take a look at our programs, take a look at some of our data, take a look at the course outcomes, and they literally tell us what they think. I'm seeing students who really do not write well. You guys need to improve your composition courses. When students go into law enforcement, they have to write a certain way. So you need to make sure that you're teaching them how to write a certain way. So there's a number of things that are very much pertinent to different job areas that they're telling us, change your courses because this is what students are going to need to know. So they've told us everything from different degree programs. It was because of the advisory board that we initiated the Homeland Security concentration and the Computer Forensic Investigation concentration. They're the ones that encouraged us to even come up with the CPCs and do the this is what employers need. We just had an advisory board meeting in January, and one of my members said, do students really know when they're doing, the weekly discussion forums and they always have to do a weekly written assignment? Do they know how to translate that assignment or the skills that they've used to create that assignment, how they can put that into either the resume or a portfolio and convince an employer that they do have the critical thinking skills, the communication skills, the distributed collaboration skills? And so we took that on as a project, and we're like, okay, we need to make sure that as we do our course revisions, we, have a little icon or something that says, hey, this is your critical thinking skill. This is how you are demonstrating distributed collaboration. Raylene, who is emceeing this webinar for us today, has also taken on a project of interviewing a number of members. Some of them are on our advisory board. Others are from other career fields. We have 3 other colleges here at Grantham, in addition to the College of Arts and Sciences. So she's going to be going out and doing some videotaping interviews of professionals in the field, talking about, what is it going to take to get into this career field, and then how do you use math when you're in this career field? How do you demonstrate communication skills in this career field? How do you demonstrate, all those CPCs? And so this is a project that she's working on now, and hopefully we'll be able to launch in the fall semester in our general education program.
Yeah, of course. We want to make sure that as the student, that you are very blatantly understanding how what you're receiving in our degree programs applies to the workplace. And that's what our instructors do on a daily basis. And, that's what I'm doing with this project. I think we've sort of covered all this, the education in the workplace application questions that we had. I think it's time to sort of switch gears a little bit and talk about our student organization opportunities. I'm going to start with Susie and sort of talk about the ACJA. What is the organization that you're sponsoring?
This is the American Criminal Justice Association. And to be a member of this, you have to be 18 years old or older. And you either have to be, obviously if you're 18, you're probably not retired from law enforcement, but you're retired in good standing, or a law enforcement professional, or a student associated with a degree program, or if you're taking a course in criminal justice. And a lot of students would ask, like, well, what's the benefit of this? Well, the benefit is, one, the bottom line is it looks really good on a resume, so let's just put that out there. But the thing of it is to be connected to your university. And I know, like, as a student, that's why I'm running this, because it's student run. So I'm a student currently in a PhD program. I know how difficult it is to balance life, family, work, and all the other things that you have to do. But the important thing is that I found that you can find time to do the things you want to do. So if this is important for you to future in your career field, then you should join this organization. It's a nominal fee. There's like 6 regions in the United States here, and we're in region number 3. And if you join through the university, just being a member, you have the opportunity to participate in scholarship opportunities. They have different graduate keys based on your GPA, and they have other awards. You can also go to the regional conference, and some of them wonder, well, why is it important to go to this conference? Well, it is important because you can build these networking. The very scholastic criminal justice universities are there. Other law enforcement agencies are there. And so this is where you network if you're wanting to get in and it helps you, they give you access to scholarly journals to help you with your papers when you write them. And sometimes students may even want to write a paper, and that's part of the scholarship, or even present, so if they're chosen. So they have these different programs. There's some that our police officers are wanting to go into it that can participate in the marksmanship that they have there and the physical agility test, and they have a competition during this. So there's a wide variety of things that joining this organization can do to benefit the student alone. But just being connected to the university, I think that's the main, building that relationship. I'm more connected to my university, and I'm involved in the student. Obviously, we can't do fundraising and anything like that, but I'm available, and they can ask me questions. I can steer them the right path, and also it connects to the career pathways, which is what you're doing, and helps them find jobs that are available, help, get their resume up. And maybe they're in a career field right now, but they're wanting to transition. And that would be a grand opportunity to say, hey, I need help with a cover letter. I need help changing my resume to fit the new job that you're trying to acquire.
Of course, of course. I think Doug is going to go ahead and start with his next question. We'll go back and forth talking about both organizations.
Well, my question was to Mark that, what's your take on your areas of expertise as far as the student organizations are concerned?
Well, Political Science Commons was created to be a vehicle beyond just the 8 weeks that I would have a student in American Government 1 to for students to continue an informed and intelligent and civil discussion on politics, government. I get students for 8 weeks, and a lot of times, sometimes it's great because it's always fun when a presidential election hits during those 8 weeks, or Supreme Court decisions get released during those 8 weeks. But many times, those 8 weeks don't overlap with that. But again, I think students are just as hungry to find a good place to be, a safe place, a civil place to become informed citizens, and really that's what this is about. It's about having again, creating that environment where you can use students can access my experience, 10 years in politics from both sides of the aisle. The two other full-time faculty here, in addition to me, we've got a lot of experience, and we want to create that place where again, students can get some good information, engage in a good quality civil discussion, and connect with us as instructors beyond just the 8 weeks. I think, unfortunately, sometimes students get to that 8th week and they're like, all right, thanks, Professor Olson, see ya. But I know, or maybe I'm glad, it might be like, I don't want to ever see you again. But I started college as a music major, and I didn't think I was going to end up in political science. And it was an American government instructor, Dr. May, who changed my life. And when I went through some really difficult times, I relied on him, and he encouraged me to get into political science, and he had this just huge, profound impact on my life. And that's what this organization and these organizations are about, is to continue that networking with instructors beyond the classroom on some of these topics that, again, students might not go into political science as a major or a minor. Even if someday if we offer some more government specific programs, but again, in any field, Homeland Security, get connected with us. I know there's a class that I teach that I wrote here on terrorism and asymmetric warfare. That's a huge class that really is a critical piece that students should take for the Homeland Security concentration. Well, again, that the organization helps us connect with students and inform them of those opportunities that we provide here at Grantham University.
Yeah, I know with the Society of Human Resources Management, we bring in people that talk about real-world applications. They're already in human resources, and but with you guys, you already have that real-world experience. And I think a lot of our students are, what are the beginning steps? Or, hey, when I'm into this, what criminal investigation? What does that all entail? Like you just told me a lot of things that I didn't know about as far as an investigation is concerned. How do you look at a crime scene? These things seem like basic questions, but when you have a safe environment, like you said, it's so much easier for us to ask those kind of questions that we wouldn't normally ask, and to get real-world experience and expertise that is another reason for the student organizations. Yeah, it is to bring us closer together to Grantham University, but to have those people to go to is so much more important than anything else. But
they get a better understanding too. So a lot of them think, I want to be a crime scene investigator, and I'm like, whoa, or I want to be a detective. And it's like, well, like most people, you have to start at the bottom.
Yeah.
So welcome to patrol. But now, you know, before they would hire officers to train as criminal investigators, now a lot of agencies are going to a specific civilian group who is majoring in biology and all that to do the collecting of evidence or the CSI part where they go out. But you still need that basic patrol officer to know, hey, I need to mark off the crime scene here and not here because I'm going to lose valuable evidence. So without that information, so I mean, you know, a police officer is like, you know, has a lot of information about a lot of stuff, but not maybe an expert in any of it because they have to be, you know, a counselor and a traffic expert and all this stuff.
A generalist.
Yes, yes. And so to realize that you have to start here to get to be a detective. You just can't apply to be a detective. And they're like, oh, you have college education, great, you can be a detective. Yeah, it just doesn't work like that. So.
And I just want to go in a little farther. The student organization, ACJA, has a national organization. So our chapter is a chapter of the national organization. Now, for the Political Commons group, that is just a local organization that we have for students.
It's unique to Grantham University.
Yep.
That's great. And, you know, to your point, Mark, when you said, you know, because I was a business owner as well, and I got my QuickBooks set up, my accounting portion part of it, and that's all I really cared about. How do I take care of the books? But I didn't realize when I was looking for a location, what are the political ramifications of that? What do I need to know to just get into a particular area? Is it zoned for that? Do I understand all the ramifications of that? So when you said that, it just clicked. I was like, we all think of how we're going to make money, so let's get the software set up. But there's so many other things. I didn't realize when I was looking for a studio in my photography business, it wasn't zoned for that. The place I was looking at wasn't zoned for that. And I would have went through all of these things without knowing some of political science. So that's kind of another thing that we just don't think about every day that students can ask us.
Right.
Ask you.
Right, yeah. I mean, we talk a lot of in political science about how we often notice government when it's going wrong, but we don't notice the roads we all drove on. You know, I made tons of mistakes with my business, and I think the zoning clearance and the local business license. But then suddenly, once you know that and you learn that you have to pay attention to that colors how you then pay attention to your local city council races and who's on your city council. And those are the skills we're trying to communicate, especially in these organizations that sometimes we don't get to really go into detail in those 8 weeks, but then we want through these organizations for students to go, hey, I'm starting a hair salon, I'm starting a photography business, and I don't even know where to start. Oh, well, I'll just email Mark through the political science organization because you've paid good money for us to be here, and we're going to give you great advice. Like, we want students to succeed not just in the classroom but outside of the classroom.
Yeah.
And have other students to talk about, hey, my area, my city, this is what you might want to take a look out for that. Maybe in your city it might be the same. So having that student organization where other students can talk about that's so effective.
While we have the experts here, I sort of want to ask, certifications. What are some big certifications in the industry that students should look into, Susie, for criminal justice?
Well, if they're wanting to be a law enforcement officer, they need to look at their state because different states have different regulations. So, for example, Kansas, you would typically get hired with an agency first and possibly work there for months or a year, and then they would send you to the police academy as a patrol officer. In Missouri, however, you have to already have your certification. So when you go to school in Missouri, they actually have you can sign up like a college class, and it is their law enforcement, KLETC, that's Kansas Law Enforcement Academy, which is their police academy in Missouri. So then you would get hired by an agency. So they need to understand that part, because either way, having a degree is going to benefit you, because say there's 500 applicants for 6 jobs, they're going to, rate you and go, okay, this one has a bachelor's degree and these don't. And this one may have experience and it can put them over here, but that degree and that experience is going to help you out more than anything. And the degree is going to put you in there. It's not so much that you're smarter than the person with the high school diploma. It's just that it shows that you have those critical thinking skills, that you have the leadership that you've gone through, and that's what they're looking for. And I've noticed even if you're not going even to patrol, if you're going into probation, they want those skills. They need leadership skills. You have to have communication skills. If I can't express to you how I need you to behave when you're on probation, and you don't have good written skills, when you go in front of the judge and say, they violated, well, how did they violate? And your report is like, the grammar is awful and everything, they're going to think, who is this person? So honing those skills is what is very vital too. And, once you get in the job, basically, like CPR, AED, you're going to get certified in that. You're going to get certified in, firearms training. All that comes later. But right now, the bottom line is that education is so important.
I think that in any industry, for better or for worse, you're going to face regulations, and I think Susie alluded to that. I think one of the things that we as instructors are always working with students on is something that's simple but is a skill to learn, and that's reading and following instructions. Well, that's critically important when you're going out to get your certifications with government agencies, whether at the federal, state, or local level. You're going to have to follow that bureaucratic red tape and those instructions. And so, you might be sitting in a class, you might be sitting in Mark's American Government class thinking, I don't know why I have to write an 8-paragraph essay and have it in this format, but that's an opportunity to practice those skills that you're going to need when in any industry, whether it's in criminal justice or healthcare or business, and you're having to then go before a local government agency and follow those steps in order to get your certifications and those professional credentials that you need.
I agree.
So basically, like we would set up, we would develop a course, like what do we want the outcomes to be, and then we develop our course backwards. The student needs to decide what is the ultimate goal. Where do I want to see myself? And honestly, if they're young, they may not really know until they start taking a couple classes and then go, yeah, maybe this isn't for me. I always ask students, have you done a ride-along with a local police agency? Have you talked to police officers because there's the good, bad, and the ugly. The good is what we see on TV. Oh, this is lovely, and they look at their just all beautiful people.
Yes, I'm Miami.
The reality is police work is shift work, and you are, the bottom line is you're going to be working those holidays and those weekends, and your family and friends are going to the lake, and guess what? You have a double to pull. And so you have to understand. And if you have small children and you're a single parent, you have to say, am I going to be able to do that, or should I look at maybe doing an administrative type job where it's 8 to 5 and have weekends off, at least until my children are grown, or be a dispatcher. Well, and dispatching is still shift work, but not as bad. But we got called out. I had to work 24 hours. We had like 72 hours in a row, and we didn't have any time off when we had a flood, and that was an emergency situation. You have to be able to have those plans in place to cover, because you're expected to do that job. And if you can't give up those things and you're not willing to, then you need to look at a different career path.
And I think that's one of the really important things about general education. In college, I changed majors 7 times in one semester. And a lot of that had to do with general education for a good reason. I learned so much about who I was in my general education courses and what I really was interested in and what I wasn't interested in, that, I went into college thinking I was going to be, the next world famous Grammy-winning music composer. And then all of a sudden I started taking a biology class and I was like, well, that's interesting. And then I took English, and I'm like, okay, well, at least I know how. Political science. I discovered this part of me, and I think, college is always about, I tell students this all the time, college is about what you put into it. And if you engage in those general education courses and you see it as an opportunity to discover truly who you are and try things out, and, it's great if you get into a general ed class and you're like, what you want to do in life, but then you might discover a field that American government, political science, and go, this is who I am. This is what makes me tick. So before I go commit 4 years down one path, to be a brain surgeon, I can course correct now with very limited long-term consequences for that course correction.
Well, and I think that's the entire essence of the College of Arts and Sciences, is giving students the opportunity to grow in multiple and various areas, making them a more well-rounded and desirable, employee for, companies. And I love everything you two have just said. If the student is having issues with finding out what's good for them, that's what me and Doug are here for in the Career Services Department. And I think Doug has a little bit to say about our Career Launch program, if you want to go ahead and talk about that now.
Well, sure. In our Career Launch program, we can establish a career direction. So if you're looking for, you're just like Mark said, why does this course really help us? Well, we've talked to employers just like you guys have in the arts and sciences, is that they're looking for what we call basic elements of a job function. So math, science, and critical thinking. And critical thinking is really big right now. How do you figure that out? So if you ask us those questions, we have a program for you for that. Creating professional resumes, of course, and cover letters. That's just basic of what we can do for you. And that's just a piece of paper to hopefully get you the interview. That's what we're really all about, is getting you the interview. Hopefully you can get yourself the job. And gaining effective interviewing skills, this is pretty much on the forefront of what we're doing. I've had more this week of practice interviews than I've had in probably my 3 years. It's just so critical right now to have that communication skills. How do you communicate when you get a basic question of, tell me about yourself? So in that Career Launch program, we can do that for you. And if you look at the Career Launch program, once you're registered for it, you'll see much, much more in that. I know Jeremy probably has a little bit more than I do.
Well, and I think, hi, I'm Jeremy, Career Services Manager at Grantham University. But I think Doug did, I think you did a great job of explaining the program, because those are all the things that are included within that. We definitely want to, help you figure out, what does that direction look like as you go through your program, or as you begin the program. We can't stress enough that, whether you're a first-time student, first-term student, or even if you're considering it, or even if you're halfway through your program, if there's any questions that you have as far as, what my outcome is or what my next steps are, definitely contact Career Services about that. We can definitely have that conversation, and help point you in the right direction, as well as, with Mark and with Susie and with Lisa, with any of your faculty and staff here at Grantham University. That's our main goal, to make sure that you, are getting the education that you want, but also that you're meeting the goals that you have, whether that is starting your own business or whether that is, going to law enforcement, whatever you want to do. We just want to make sure that you're doing that. And with Career Launch, it's a comprehensive program that really will help you answer all those questions, because we see a lot of a la carte kind of services where, at one point I need a resume, or another point I need an interview, or another point what organizations should I join. This program has been put together. It's available in Blackboard, so it'll look very familiar to you, but it'll give you all those resources in one concise area. So, and we'll walk you through that program. It's not something that, you're kind of left to your own devices with, but, we'll have that conversation about your goals. What's your end game? We'll also walk you through the resume process and, walk you through how that interview is supposed to go. If you have questions or any questions in your mind, we want to answer those. But that's really, but like I said, Doug hit the nail on the head. But we want to, invite anyone, whether you're a current Grantham student or even if you're considering becoming a Grantham student, or if you already graduated from Grantham, this program is available to all of you.
And it's free.
And it is free, yes. That's a primary thing. And our contact information is listed here on the screen if you're watching live, or if you're listening, you can contact us direct at 1-800-955-2527, extension 137, or just email us direct at careerservices@grantham.edu. And I think, Doug, did you have a additional point there?
Yeah, we also have assessments that, personality assessments. So when we're talking, let's say you're in the computer science program or something very specific, and all of a sudden you're thinking, wow, this is for me, but not quite. I'm just not quite getting it. Well, I know we've directed several students, you have great technical skills, but you're pretty much of an extrovert. So let's look at the sales, technical sales. And that produces some great salaries. We're talking, you know, in upwards of $60,000, $75,000, $125,000. That's just, you know, with those assessments that we can give you, or at least talk you through those personality phases, that's where we come into play as well.
These assessments, this is Mark here, work amazingly well. I did one 2 weeks. No, I kid you not. I did one 2 weeks ago.
The interest profiler on ONET.
And I kid you not, my number one result was political science professor. So I guess I won, or I figured it out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And the assessments really, you know, when you think of taking an assessment, some people think, well, gosh, is this going to be 1,000 questions? That the answer is going to be hard. And they really aren't. Like given how simple the assessments are, it's amazing how spot on they can be. Like we've done, you know,
scary.
It is
yeah,
kind of
it was.
Yeah, we've done both the Myers-Briggs or MBTI, as some people refer to it. So we've done that, but we've also, you know, really gotten into the predictive index over the past couple of years, which will tell you those things like Doug was mentioning, you know, thinking about not only your kind of career goals, but who you are as a person, you know, what kind of behaviors you exhibit. So like you said, if you're someone who is an extrovert, you know, or someone has a high social capacity and you like to talk to people, you like to interact with people, you know, think about either the type of job you want to do or the type of job you're doing. So if you're not getting that interaction that you crave, you know, then you might need, you know, consider making some adjustments. Or on the opposite end, if you're someone who maybe isn't as social, and doesn't thrive on those social interactions, you know, maybe management probably isn't the career for you, or public speaking, you know, so it helps you make those kinds of decisions, but we're here to have that conversation.
Yeah, and just one more thing before we wrap up. If you are interested in the ACJA or the Political Science Commons, you can email either Mark or Susie. We have their information up on the screen for you. You can email them, let them know that you're interested. And again, if you're interested in career launch or you have any questions about the College of Arts and Sciences, refer those to the Career Services line as well, and we will love to talk to you about your future with Grantham and about your future career path.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for participating. This has been a great discussion.
Thank you.